Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Illuminati, the man who rules the world, takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. Marvel Studios is calling for another round of reshoots on its new Captain America movie, Captain America Brave New World. Now, Marvel Studios is calling for this latest round of reshoots after having a previous series of reshoots on the film Captain America Brave New World because audience test screenings have continued to come back negative. And as these audience screenings continue to come back negative, Marvel Studios continues to look to reshoot the film, hoping to get a whole final cut that will be appealing to customers before its February 2025 release at the box office. Now, this whole series of reshoots upon reshoots is a troubling indicator for Captain America Brave New World and basically signifies that this film possibly could be the first big flop of 2025 for Marvel Studios and could be another indicator to the declining box office as related to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, when it comes to Captain America Brave New World, this film is in a very dire place due to all of the reshoots, because as these reshoots are being done, they've basically made the budget for Captain America Brave New World balloon to $375 million, and with this latest round of reshoots could lead to the film winding up ballooning to a budget of $400 million and put the film in a place where it could never, ever reach profitability based on the sheer amount of money they wound up spending on this film. Now, as someone who has studied the entertainment industry for over 25 years, it's looking to me like Captain America Brave New World may be, again, one of the first big flops of 2025 and basically may put the Marvel Cinematic Universe back in a really bad place that it was before the box office blockbuster Deadpool and Wolverine showed that there was still interest in the genre of superhero movies and interest in it because the adaptation of Deadpool and Wolverine was just a fun movie for a lot of people, fun and filled with action and adventure, but Captain America Brave New World may take us back to the dark days of the MCU and the Marvel Cinematic Universe as related to its state of decline, because before Deadpool and Wolverine, Marvel Cinematic Universe was producing a series of underperforming films like Thor, Love and Blunder, and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Mediocrity, which were a part of Phase 4, and other box office failures like the first flop of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which was a part of Phase 4, and Phase 5, which was Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, and The Marvels, and both of those films basically were the first big flops for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and with the Marvel Cinematic Universe basically starting to look like it was making a comeback, we may have the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe looking to have another big drop, because with this Captain America Brave New World, this film basically makes it look like the world of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is in a lot of trouble fiscally. Now, Captain America Brave New World is in a bad place because when it comes to movies and profitability, in order for this film to break even, if the budget continues to blow up, this film would have to make $1.2 billion to break even, and that would be an impossible feat because Captain America Brave New World just doesn't have the story, I believe, to be able to break $1.2 billion, nor does it have the star power to be able to draw effectively. Now, the big problem with Captain America Brave New World is that Steve Rogers or Chris Evans is not Captain America. No, Captain America at this time is Sam Wilson, who is played by Anthony Mackie. And when it comes to Anthony Mackie is not a lead actor who has proven bankability at the box office. Yes, he was in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series on Disney Plus, but that does not prove his bankability at the box office, a box office that has become soft as we've come out of the SAG-AFTRA and WGA strikes and a pandemic that has softened box office. So the film is starting with a weak lead, and starting with a weak lead basically puts Captain America Brave New World in for a world of hurt, basically puts this film in a world of hurt because with a weak lead actor in the lead role, it basically is not in a place where you have that kind of star power to be a draw like Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman were in Deadpool and Wolverine, and not to mention you didn't have supporting players like Wesley Snipes and Channing Tatum to basically start to steal the movie. So this film does not have that strong cast like Deadpool and Wolverine of stars that basically can draw as related to things, not to mention playing characters that people really care about, because when it comes to Sam Wilson, people like myself, we don't see Sam Wilson as Captain America. No, Sam Wilson will never be Captain America. No, he is just a guy who was given a costume that he basically was handed down to him, but he doesn't have that same mission and purpose that Steve Rogers had, and that makes it where this film doesn't answer that critical question that screenwriters like myself have to answer before we put a finger to the keyboard, and that question is, why should we care? Because it's really hard to care about Sam Wilson as Captain America in this brave new world, because this world doesn't really feature any of the heroes that people really cared about and grew up with in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. No, there's no Steve Rogers as Captain America, there's no Tony Stark as Iron Man, and Thor, Odin's son, has basically been emasculated the same as Bruce Banner's Hulk when we saw them in Thor Love and Blunder and that horrible She-Hulk Attorney at Law series. So there's no real characters to really get behind as related to this movie, and this compounded with that bloated budget basically leads to this movie heading on a road to becoming on a level of a box office failure such as Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That's basically what's going to happen here as related to this Captain America Brave New World, which possibly could be the end of the world for many of the executives at the MCU, which basically they were looking to hope to use this film as a bridge for their struggling Phase 5, and a slate of films that possibly could be on the road to being box office flops. I mean, when I look at Captain America Brave New World, again, there's no reason to care about this movie. Same thing with the Thunderbolts movie, which doesn't really feature any Thunderbolts because the MCU didn't do a good job of having Baron Zemo build up a group of villains to become the masters of evil, to go and make themselves be in disguise as heroes, or enough story to show that these villains basically wanted to become heroes. I mean, this is the first movie which is very veers off the original source material of the Thunderbolts, so I see that film underperforming as well. Not to mention, this Fantastic Four movie is starting off on a bad foot with this female Silver Surfer, and this is supposed to lead into Avengers Secret Wars, which features Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, another miscast that I believe is going to hurt that film. And when I look at Marvel Studios and its Marvel Cinematic Universe as related to Phase 4 and Phase 5, I see this Captain America Brave New World basically being at a point where Disney's executives may start to look at the end of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's world, because instead of it being a profitable asset, it's looking like a major liability to the studio, which is going to possibly take its biggest loss with Captain America Brave New World, and basically be at a point where executives have to look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe from a critical perspective, as these films have been ballooning in cost, and ballooning in cost to the point where they are no longer profitable. Because if you've had to go through multiple reshoots, this is something I know from studying the entertainment industry for years. If you've got to go through multiple reshoots, it shows that this screenplay was not solid from minute one, and each reshoot you do makes the film appear to be more jumbled, makes the film to appear to be more disorganized, because you're doing revision on top of revision, and doing revision on top of revision basically shows that the writers don't really have a good vision, and the studio doesn't have much confidence in the final product. And sadly, what's happening here at Marvel Studios is a hard lesson I had to learn back in about 1999, when I was submitting queries for my first John Haynes story, The Changing Soul. Now, at that time, I kept rewriting and rewriting the story, thinking that I could make it better. However, the lesson I had to learn back then at 26 years old is that once you write a story, it's basically you have to let it be finished, and if it's not that the first story isn't that great, you can't revise it into being better. No, what makes a story good is that the writer has a good understanding of what they're writing, and they can answer those three critical questions. Who is the main character? What do they want? And why should we care? That's what the writer has to answer in the first 10 pages of the script as related to the action when you're writing a screenplay. And in a novel, you have to do this in the first 3 chapters of the book. And in a comic book, you have to do this in the first 3 to 5 pages. And if you can't do that in that span of time, you've basically failed to be able to capture the attention of the audience. That's what is happening here at Marvel Studios. They can't see that you can't rewrite your way out of a bad story. No, if the story's foundation of the structure is not solid from minute one, you're not going to be able to write your way out of it. No, what you're going to do is basically create a jumbled mess as related to your story. Create a jumbled mess because you're going to keep trying to write new perspectives, and it's just basically going to be confusing. And that's basically what's happening as related to the Brave New World. It basically is looking more and more like a jumbled film, and that's what's alienating audiences. I believe what's really alienating audiences is the fact that the story is not really focused as related to these test screenings, and it's not focused related to the test screenings because they didn't take their time to write a quality screenplay. Moreover, they couldn't really write a quality screenplay because Sam Wilson in and of himself is not fit to be a lead character. No, Sam Wilson is a supporting character, and with Sam Wilson being a supporting character, you really can't write him into a lead role without a good organic buildup, and sadly there was no good organic buildup as related to Avengers, Endgame, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We really don't see Sam Wilson organically having a reason to be Captain America. Yes, he was given a shield by Steve Rogers, a hand-me-down shield, but you can't hand down a mission to a character. No, a character has to have a clear mission. This is what makes us care about this character. This is what defines this character as a hero. This is what gets us excited about that character. This is what gets us to be drawn into their story. And sadly, Sam Wilson doesn't have any of that at all, and that's what makes the new world of Captain America one that is not appealing to most people, because when most Americans think of Captain America, they think of Steve Rogers. They think of a man who basically, again, wanted to serve his country because he loved his country so much. to the point where this 90-pound weakling, as they called him back in those days, basically wanted to, again, go and volunteer for this experiment and became a super soldier. But there's nothing super about Sam Wilson, and that's making the story hard to tell. And you can't tell the people who want to, again, push Sam Wilson as Captain America to meet diversity quotas because they really just want to put Sam Wilson in a hand-me-down costume to say it's about diversity and inclusion. But meanwhile, you've got other characters who are black who could have told an interesting story with. I mean, you have that guy who was the first Captain America, Isaiah Bradley. You could have told a story with him. There was Lamar Hoskins, who was Battlestar in the comics. I mean, you could have told a story with him and tested it out with a special. I mean, Lamar Hoskins has been in the background for years and nobody has used him. And he's got, again, super strength and a shield. Or you could, and again, you could have used these characters in their own stories, and you could have left Steve to his own story. And again, Captain America, as related to what most people see from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, was who is Steve Rogers, and what people are going to pay to see is Steve Rogers as Captain America. And any attempt to try to get them to see a Brave New World with a Sam Wilson Captain America is possibly going to flop hard at the box office, and flop hard because the only world that people want to see as related to the Marvel Cinematic Universe is one where Steve Rogers is Captain America, and Steve Rogers is the one throwing Captain America's mighty shield. Now, if you want to pick up my first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, which features a black lead character, you can go out here and pick up John Haynes at Death's Door on Lulu.com in paperback, and you can also pick up my second comic, Esteem, No Good Deed. You can pick that comic up on Kindle for 99 cents, and you can pick up all the action-packed fantasy of the SJS Direct Universe in books like the ISIS series, books like the Esteem series, books like the John Haynes series, my Goth trilogy, the Spinsterella trilogy, Spellbound, The Legendary Mad Matilda and Spinsterella, and my vampire novel, Eternal Night. You can find all these books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me be able to make more videos about the comic book industry, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, superheroes, sci-fi, and fantasy fiction, and have money to make things like new indie comics like the John Haynes and ISIS comics, or be able to continue supporting independent comic creators with their comics and even their action figures, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App so I can continue supporting these products and producing great content with them. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback at e-readers, ISIS, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new ISIS series adventure. Get your copy of ISIS Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem, Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem, Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.